Hi guys! Welcome to a class review overall class review. So this is something that was requested, and it's gonna be a little weird. You guys are gonna be able to see. I'm just off of the Ranger Lionheart blessing review, but you guys kind of asked for it. You guys kind of wanted, like, comparing class to class, strengths and weaknesses of every class. And if you've been watching my specific class review videos, you kind of know that, but I'm gonna kind of try to throw them all together into this video here so you guys can kind of see. And I'm not gonna go into specific blessings, just how the class feels all around. So first up, obviously, the Ranger. Very, very, very strong. My personal favorite in regards to classes. The biggest issue with the Ranger is there's very little AoE damage. So if you come to groups of enemies and you're alone, you're gonna have a bit of a struggle to actually take on the groups of enemies. And that's with every blessing up to this point. There's been really no trick or rhyme or reason in regards to blessings. So if you have multiple, oh, come here, barbarian. Barbarian, you guys didn't see that horribleness. So if you have multiple enemies here, it's really difficult to be able to actually kite around and do the damage that you need to do. Best bet's to use your evasive shots, and even then you're gonna be falling down a lot. However, single target damage is on point. You can absolutely melt most enemies, especially even if you're in yellow or red gear score areas. Like, I was up in the the T1 where you first go into PvP zones and stuff. I was up in that area, and that was red gear score level 22 stuff, and I was actually able to solo kill it. I had to be a little bit more careful. It took a little bit more time, but I was able to kill it. Actually, you know what? We'll show that. I'll be right back once I get there. Alright, so as you can see, we're at the Ashen Sabertooth, and it's level 22, red gear score. Even my mark still does almost 700. My pop-up does a lot of damage. Oh, so if I'm just careful, I'm massively under leveled for this area, and I'm still able to actually do the damage that I'm looking to do. Come on, do your attack. There we go. Oh, well, there we go. That'll work. So the Ranger by far is the absolute best when it comes to single target damage. Oh, I missed. You can go into places. Okay, that was a massive lag. Holy crap. You can go into places that you would otherwise not be able to go into with other classes, and you're able to survive and thrive. But I'm doing a very poor representation of that right now. But as you can see, I mean, I have it almost dead. Back up a little bit. Just there you go. I just took out a level 22 as a level 17 Ranger, and I have 561 gear score. So when it comes to being underleveled, I am the epitome of it. I am 5 levels under, and probably a good 1 to 200 gear. Well, I'd probably say about 100 gear score under what I should be for this area. And if I kite stuff around, I'm able to do a lot of damage with the Ranger, and I'm able to do a lot of potential leveling, I guess you could say, because I can go into these higher end areas, take a little bit of time to kill stuff, but I'm getting more experience. I wouldn't say it's better than, you know, farming some of the other places that people farm when you hit this level gap right here, but in regards to just the abilities of the Ranger themselves, I guess, mine's a her, sorry. But in regards to the ranger, absolutely single target damage, melts targets. You have so much utility when facing like one-on-one targets. It's unreal. So I'll be back once I load up the mage. All right, and now we're back. We got the mage here. I'm right off recording the Mark of the Wolf for the mage, so kind of use that as a baseline. You know, we're at about 294 gear score. Obviously not as strong as the ranger, but you'll kind of get the idea of what you're looking at. No, I'm not gonna join a party. I'll kind of go into here, show you guys like gear score and level that are, you know, roughly like where the ranger was, and then I'll go further south towards like the titan boas and stuff like that, to stuff that's over level and my gear score is not proper for it, to show you the difference. The mage, really strong, has a lot of potential for being the best class, I guess, in the game. I'm on Mark of the Wolf Blessing, obviously. As you can see, I still haven't changed the blessing. It's my quest right now. Single target damage, not nearly as much as the ranger, but still very strong. You can do a lot of damage and you can do a lot of punishment in a very quick manner. And the Mark of the Wolf, you don't have it as much, but the mage is definitely an AoE killer. Ooh, a blue drop. Give me ooh, potion of recovery 3. It's definitely an AoE sort of killer. Also, by the way, big shout out to you guys. You told me that left trigger is restoring your mana. The mage makes up for the lack of single target when it comes to AoE combos and ability wise. So I'll be back once we get down into a little bit harder area. All right, so I tried to keep it as similar as possible. 5 levels over, red gear score. I think this area is actually a little bit more higher gear score difference than the ranger was, but you know, when it comes down to it, single target damage. Now keep in mind, this Mark of the Wolf, you're doing a lot less damage. I know it said 95% decrease, but it's very disappointing in regards to how much difference there is. So we'll go to a little bit better of a gear score area. We'll go to level 16. We'll go to the lions, kind of drop it down one, drop it down a little bit for the gear score, kind of show you guys. But the AoE damage is definitely a lot higher and a lot better potential for the mage than it is for the ranger. Because, you know, I can kind of kite around, I can get the crits going, you know, that sort of deal. I can push back, which is really good if you have a mage and a ranger fighting side by side. Stuff starts getting close, you can, you know, do your ability, push them away. And you can see, even here, I'm still not doing the damage that the ranger was doing. And these are even lower still. So a little bit depressing, a little sad in regards to single target damage, but utility wise and AoE wise, it does have that possibility of doing what you're looking for, especially if you're running in groups. So that's the mage. I will be back when I get onto the Crusader. All right, and we are back with the Crusader. So as the Crusader goes, probably among the higher tier classes, I would say, especially once you start getting into later blessings. The biggest thing that I was surprised with, now if you saw my Mark of the Valor video, you'll know that I wasn't a big fan of the blessing, but when it comes to the mark of the wolf here, which is what I'm on, it had a lot more utility and it felt good. I was actually enjoying playing the Crusader with it. You know, you got your defense increase, you got your slash, and this also knocks down, which gives you and your team a lot of time to do some damage. There's so many knockdowns and knockovers with the Crusader that while you might not always output the most damage, you're going to output enough damage and enough knockdown that you'll be able to actually have a viable team build with it if you have a Crusader jumping in. And in regards to AoE damage or solo damage, there's really no AoE damage. The single target damage is moderate, I would say. And I'll kind of show that here once I get into the further reaches. We're just gonna go straight for the lions because that's gonna be 5 levels over, and then we'll move back as needed. But yeah, you can kind of see the lack of damage from the Crusader. I know there's a way to make the Crusader do massive crits when it comes to later in the game, so we'll see how that goes. But as of right now, it's more frontline knockover over anything. So I'll be back once we're at the lions. Alright, so we got a wasteland hyaenodon, still 5 levels over. There's lions down that way if we want to hit them. But when it comes to single target damage, a little bit more utility and strength when it comes to single target. The knockdown is what really gets it. You can keep the battle going without having to. Oh my god, that hurt. I did the wrong combo there. Meant to do this combo. You can keep the battle going without having to worry about getting hit too much, because you do attack fast enough that your staggers and knockdowns usually are able to, you know, one-on-one take out the opposition, as it were. We're gonna heal. We're gonna try to find a lion. There's a lion over here. I know it. There it is. Just because, you know, show the similarities. As you can see, I'm actually lower level than the mage was, and I'm actually doing more damage than the mage, which is actually interesting. The mage is, at least in some of the blessings, yeah, see, you pay attention to the combat, you see that, oh hey, it's going to do a non-knockover sort of deal. But yeah, so I mean, you can see it's very good. As soon as you start getting multiple enemies, though, the Crusader kind of collapses because there's not a lot of AoE attacks. Like, your slash is AoE in front of you where you see the slices, and the ground pound is AoE where you land. And like, if I come over to here and I angle myself right, I can hit both of them at the same time, but it's still not exactly entire AoE, I guess you could say. So that's the Crusader. I will be back once we are on the priest. Alright, so as you can see, we're on to the priest now. Once again, Mark of the Wolf, same exact place as the Crusader. The priest, it has a little bit of utility. There's a little bit of try not to take damage. Hey, there we go. It has a little bit of utility when it comes to fighting in groups. It still feels roughly like a sluggish mage, though. You know, you're at least with Mark of the Wolf, you got your attack up, which is always nice, and then that swords into the from the ground thing, that's actually a AoE attack. Ow, that hurt. And obviously, you know, the priest being the healer, you actually do get a heal with it in the Mark of the Wolf. But when it comes to actually fighting in groups, the priest I don't know, the priest really is only good for the attack power up and, you know, the heals, I guess you could say. At least from what I've seen, what I've experienced, trying to fight a group of enemies is very difficult. Your abilities do activate pretty quick, but you don't do a lot of damage, so it takes you a long time to kill them. And if you have to keep running around in circles, it gets to the point where you start grabbing more and more enemies, and it's hard to kind of start whittling the enemy amount down. You know what I mean? So we'll be back for single target damage whenever we get to the lions. All right, so as you can see, we're back at the lions. The single target damage still a little bit better than the mage, I guess. The combos though are a lot more sluggish, and you know, I'm actually starting to think I had bad RNG with equipment, and my mage was actually weaker than I thought. Because the mage feels stronger whenever you're fighting stuff that you're gear scored for. The biggest issue with the priest, I mean, is it's very slow with the regular attacks. So you're waiting for your abilities to come back, and you're just waiting and waiting, and it makes it like it's manageable. You can work with it, and I've seen a lot of priests do a lot of like heavy hitting, but at the end of the day, the speed is with the mage. The speed and the damage, if you have the proper gear score, is absolutely with the mage, 100%. The priest with the healing and a little bit of AoE, the priest is a little bit more tanky than the mage. I have to say, I've noticed that I can take more hits with the priest. So if you are looking for a magic class that you can take some hits and you're not a glassjaw mage, the priest is probably the way you want to go. So I will be back once we're on the Berserker. All right. You know what time it is. If you've seen my video yesterday, you know my exact feelings with the Berserker. I'm still struggling to find any utility with the Berserker in general. I see a lot of people say that the Berserker is actually really good. I've yet to see it. The single target and the AoE damage is just terrible. We'll kite these two over. You would think, with being a CC control class, generally, you would have a little bit better luck CC control. But you're so slow, you're so sluggish. It's just so bad. And if you have too many, or if you have a boss or anything like that, there's just no viable way that you can honestly do much in a battle. At least from what I've seen people playing as the Berserker, just throughout the world. And of the melee classes, I see the Berserker go down the most. Where you should do, you know, stun damage and knockback damage, you do little to no stun or knockback. So we'll be back once we hit the lions. All right, so we're at the lions, and I'm doing significantly less damage than the priest, who was under the level. I'm doing about my bad bad gear score mage was doing. I'm 98% certain by now that my mage was absolutely undergeared. You can't really do a lot of damage fast. Like, my priest and my Crusader absolutely killed everything faster, and of the classes that are not my ranger, I have the most time into the Berserker because of how much extra I had to do just for some of the reviews. So it was toe-to-toe with the rest of the classes. So very, very disappointing. I mean, you saw how long that attack or that whole thing took. The spin, it doesn't stun, it doesn't knock back, it doesn't do anything. You just sit there and you take hits while you're spinning. And it's like, it's very disappointing. The Berserker, I feel like the Berserker has the potential that is needed in this game, but it's just falling short of what it should be as a class in whole. So there you go. That's kind of all of the classes, in my opinion, how I've perceived them and how I've played them. Kind of play style for them all. Obviously, the Ranger's a lot further ahead than the rest of the classes because it is my main class. I'm going to be working tirelessly to catch everything up and get you guys more reviews of all of the blessings as best as I can. So keep an eye out for that in the future. Definitely make sure you see some of the other stuff that I do, because it's not all just review stuff and it's not all just Blessed Unleashed stuff. And yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you thought down in the comments below. Let me know if there's something that I should be looking forward to, or what maybe I should do for a future video. I'm thinking maybe I'll do a guide on where I find is the best place to farm experience from the 17 to 20 gap on the classes or on the characters. So let me know if that's something you want to see, and I will see all of you guys next time. Bye guys.